Our Mother who art within us, we celebrate your many names. Your wisdom come, your love far flung, unfolding from the depths of us. Each day you give us all we need. You remind us of our limits and we let go. You support us in our power and we act with courage. For you are the dwelling place within us, the empowerment all around us, and the celebration among us, as it was in the very beginning, may it be now.
This was a beautiful song, and it's such a nice way of starting this time that we have together. This is a very special event. My name is Marie-Rose Romain-Murphy. I'm a member of the Girl Child Long Walk team, and it is my pleasure and privilege to be here. Welcome, Caribou, bienvenue, benvenido. We want all to be welcome in this circle. So we are here. This is part of the Girl Child Long Walk Courageous Conversations. This is a special space where we invite advocate, activists, faith-inspired leaders from all over the world to explore issues that very often are not addressed, that are at the intersection of faith, gender equality, and community development. Thank you all for being here. So this is about the launch of an event, of a video that we launched in partnership with the Women's Spirit Reclamation Project. The title of this video is Reclaiming Eve, our Mythic Mother, the truth about our origin story. I'm going to try in a very succinct way because my colleagues have asked me to share my Eve story. You have to go back in time. I was 10 years old and a very serious little girl. I went to Catholic school to St. Rose de Lima. For those of you who don't know, I'm from Haiti. I was born and raised in Haiti. So I went to this French Catholic school. So it was a religion class, and Sister Mère Marie-Charles, was talking about Adam and Eve. And I had just read a book about Darwin's theory of evolution. So you can't really see me. I am told that I look bigger on Zoom, but I'm small. I don't feel small, but I'm small. So I was this tiny little girl, and I raised my hand and I said, Mère Marie-Charles, I would like to know, may I ask, what is the Catholic Church position towards Darwin's theory of evolution? And I really was curious. I wasn't trying to be a troublemaker. Not that there were times where I didn't try to be a troublemaker, but I was just curious. So she was French. She turned red, purple, pressed her lips, and basically told me, Mademoiselle Romain, shut up and sit down. And she also she told me, she basically sent a note to my mother just telling her to watch what I read. So this is my Eve story, to the extent where I think so many of us face a time and deal with situations where, because we are curious, because we have a mind that cannot stop us from questioning, because we want to embrace all that the world is, we are humiliated and punished. So that was one of my experiences. So at any rate, moving on to more interesting things. We have right now, in terms of this session, this conversation, we have the pleasure of having the creators of this video. So over the time that we have together, they are going to be saying a few words and shape the time that we have and lead it. We will be watching the video. There will be some debriefing afterwards. Please allow me to introduce the three co-creators who are going to guide our time together. Okay, so Monette Shilson, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Feminist scholar, author, and founder and creatrice of Women Spirit Reclamation. She just joined us from Scotland, jet lag, but here to be with us. Thank you, Monette. Patricia Rey, theologian, feminist scholar, and author of many books, including the book the video is drawn from, Eve, a Mythic Mother, Exposing the Lies of Patriarchy. Thank you for being here, Patricia. Emily Nielsen-Jones, co-founder of the Imago Dei Fund, author and co-founder of the Girl Child Long Walk Project. I have the pleasure of working with Emily every day. So these are the three people and the three women, the three leaders that we will be hearing from. So I will start with Monette. Monette, could you please share a few words about Women's Spirit Reclamation? And I know that you have an opening meditation and activity to welcome us into this time together. So please lead the way.
I would love to. Thank you, Marie Rose. So Women's Spirit Reclamation is an online community center. We fortuitously started it during the pandemic, which was really lovely for many of us. And we've continued it as a place for women to come and learn the stories that were co-opted, like Eve's, with patriarchy. I am so passionate about not creating like a new way, but going back and finding the true way that is within all of us. And Marie Rose mentioned, I just got back from Scotland. I just have to say, I have a perfect little encapsulation of this work that I do that I got to do in real life. I stayed in a little town on the east coast of Scotland called Pittenweem. There's a sacred cave there that is known in all of its references as St. Fillan's Cave. And that is, obviously a male monk that there's a whole legend about his glowing arm writing his scrolls. And I just kept thinking, that just doesn't sound right. So I got there, I did the research, long story short, the cave in the 1400s on the charters of the town I was in, the cave was referred to as the Well of Mary Magdalene. Not that she herself was there, but her followers gathered there. And that is documented. There is absolutely zero documentation of St. Fillan. That was a story that was slapped on. So just to say that to me was like, whoo, that's exactly what happened with Eve. So what we're doing today is unearthing the real story. And I want to, when we come into spaces like this, we like to connect with the power of what we're learning, but also with the energy of each other. So I just want to open us so we can feel connected to each other as we unearth this true story. So I invite you to get comfortable in your space, wherever you are. You can have your eyes opened or closed and just begin to connect with the breath. That is a tether that is always there for each of us, bringing us back into our bodies, into our wisdom and our knowing. And invite you to bring your hands over your own heart. You'll begin to feel beneath your palms your own heart beating, a rhythm sustaining you. Your palms rise and fall with your breath. You may feel a stillness, a groundedness. And then I invite you to take your palms out to either side of you and maybe look and see who is on each side of you. And imagine in your mind's eye your fingertips touching theirs, so that we go around the grid, creating a circle now, connecting us. You can feel the energy moving from your fingertips through the person next to you, weaving a sacred space where all stories are welcome. And with this sacred space created, we can bring our hands back to our own heart, sealing in that energy that we just co-created in our circle. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And we are ready to begin this journey together now. Many of you know that I really adore the practice of word clouds. It takes an idea and it gives us an image that encapsulates it, and it's a really beautiful practice. So I'm going to share my screen, and we wanted to start this. This is really a reclamation of a story. So we wanted to start it with, what have we been taught? What have we internalized about Eve? What is our current thought, feeling, perception of her? So I'm going to bring up my word cloud generator. That is not it. That is it. And let me minimize this so I can see the whole thing. There we go.
And maybe if you've been on a journey with Eve, what was your early understanding or the dominant understanding? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, like what, yeah, I think it's the taught understanding. What have you absorbed thus far on your journey with Eve? How would she appear to you now? And then we're going to view the video. We're going to talk about some things, and then we're going to do another short word cloud and see if we can maybe reclaim parts of her that have been lost. Does that make sense? Can y'all hear me?
No, Monet,
Yeah.
please go.
Yeah. So
Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to type in the words you say, and the rules, there are no real rules, but if many people have the same word, please repeat them, because they will get bigger in the word cloud if more people say them. And I'm just going to sit here and transcribe, and then we're going to generate our word cloud and see where we're starting from with who Eve has been to us up until this point. So just say out a word that is what Eve has been to you.
Unknown.
Deceived and second.
What was it? Perceive? No. Perceive.
Deceived
Deceived. Gotcha.
and second.
Yes.
Insecure.
I think curious.
Furious.
Was that curious?
Framed,
Framed?
Jealous.
Say it one more time.
Jealous.
Fearless.
There is blame, and then there is also weak. Lesser, impure. Curious. I'm reading the chat. Disobedient. Defiant. Bold. Naughty.
Evil.
Dumb.
Yeah, I see that.
Curious.
An allegory.
Childish.
Cautionary tale.
Mm.
No value.
Good for more than having babies.
Selfish.
That hurts.
Unclean.
Shelly, could you read that word?
I see created.
Yes, beguiling.
Was it created?
I saw created.
Yeah, created. Breeder.
Beguiling.
Breeder. Someone who breeds.
Did you get disobedient, Monette?
Yes. A mess.
Servant.
A what? A miss?
Temptress.
Say it one more time.
Temptress. Like someone who's
Temptress.
tempting.
Gotcha.
Temptress.
Sometimes when two people say it at once, I hear half of each and it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Temptress.
A mess.
Leading.
Someone who is a mess.
A myth.
A myth. Yes, a myth.
Myth.
A myth.
M-Y-T-H.
Got
Not
you.
mess. Mess. Like you're a mess. Yeah.
Got it.
A scapegoat.
Oh, yes.
I think that
Infantile.
there's another word here that says nothing. Insidious, manipulative, sneaky.
Deserving of her subjugation.
Or manipulated.
Manipulating, manipulated. What am I?
Thief.
Framed.
Manipulative.
Thief?
Manipulative.
Leading.
What was just said?
Leading.
Insidious.
Lating? Like
Leading.
will someone spell it?
Leading.
Lating.
Somebody else said frame. I think it was Naima.
Submissive.
Weak. Insidious. Sneaky. Dishonest.
Dishonest.
Deceitful.
Goodness. Oy.
Okay. I'm just going to add untrustworthy and then we're going to generate. I just have to ask because I can't really change it once I enter it. What is lating? Laiding?
Lea. Leading.
Leading. Like
Oh,
leading.
leading. I leading.
And then the word manipulating is manipulative, continuous tense.
Manipulative.
Yeah.
Someone added source of death.
An
Oh,
excuse.
Ooh.
Source of death.
Okay. Now we will see what this looks like. Okay, this text, what the heck? Okay, real fast, in case I lose something, I'm copying all this. Edit, copy. Okay, I've never had it not generate before. All right, we're gonna move on and I'm gonna work in the background and do this, and I'm gonna show you after, and it will be a surprise for all of us.
That sounds wonderful.
Examples. of the right format.
It might be the hyphens, actually.
Yeah.
I always do those though.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
I know.
So
Okay.
why don't we move on? Because I think that it's been interesting to have that collective exercise. Fascinating. So, and thank you for leading it, Monette. Very enlightening. Now, I'd like to go to Patricia. Patricia, we'd love to hear more about what motivated you to write this book and to dedicate so much of your time, creativity, and energy to Eve.
Wow. Well, that gathering of words says a lot about the twisting out of shape of our foremothers' lives and history. So I'm feeling some sadness, it just was so much. It's as if we read the early church fathers who manipulated Eve for their purposes, and every single lie that they spun out in order to make sure that woman was the first to sin and man gave birth to woman. So, but I'm setting that sadness aside for a moment. And what led me to want to get to the bottom of Eve and Mary was my childhood. We always return to the earliest time. And I was raised in a Catholic orphanage. It's as if they took my mother away and I had no idea where she was. Never been to a Catholic church before, but went to Mass every day and sat in front of the statue of this most beautiful mother. They told me her name was Mary and that she wasn't God. And I said, yes, she is. She's my God. And I asked her if she would please bring my mother back. And so I had a literal, this is really important to the book, I had a literal sense of Mary and then eventually Eve. They were a literal, visceral presence in this little girl's life. And from early on, she had to do just like Marie Rose, but not quite as intellectual as Marie Rose. That's such a powerful story. But just from my heart saying, oh no, as the priest would say, you're not to pray to Mary. She's not God. And I said, she's my God. And then every week I had to confess that I had prayed to Mary, the mother. And so for me, I received comfort from a sense of a literal Eve and Mary. Now, Eve is a different story. She wasn't even mentioned in the Protestant church that welcomed us after my mother got sober, retrieved us from the orphanage. They didn't even, never did I hear a positive word about Eve. She was the mother of all sin. I was enlisted in patriarchy's army to go after the false gods, including the goddesses. And so here I had another fight, but with the Protestants as a 12-year-old, really believing that what's wrong with eating an apple? I like apples. Eve liked apples. It's what I said in high school. I wrote a paper, Eve likes apples. I like apples. She's curious. I'm curious. So it was the women figures in my religious experience who really saved me from believing the lies. I was in search of the truth of those stories. And then finally, I visited a women's prison during my first book tour, and they could not understand this phrase, a God who looks like me. They were absolutely outraged that I would not have the male God as my God. And so it was a very interesting experience. And what I wrote about it, just to finish about my motivations for this book, as a grown-up, I realized that long before God the Father was imagined into being, there was the Mother, and she was called by many names: Eve, Mary, Lilith, Sophia. The names go on and on. And that audience didn't accept this message whatsoever. They fought it. They started a discussion totally apart from me about the God that they believed in. They began to psychologize me. What's up with your mother? Maybe you're searching for her. So perhaps the deepest motivation for excavating Eve and then Lilith and Mary from the claws of patriarchy is my deep need for mama, my mama. And those three became a trinity of self-love, self-understanding, and self-sovereignty as I reclaimed their stories from the claws of patriarchy. So that's why there was such sadness to realize how powerfully we accepted all they told us about her, and they were lies.
Patricia, thank you for sharing this. I'm just feeling what it's resonating, and it's deeply resonating, and it felt so sad. I'm sorry, but in so many ways you have transcended all of that. And you've reclaimed yourself, not just, Eve or Mary or Lilith. And not just for you, but for so many women who yearn for the same. And I should say even men. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Monette, I see that you have the word cloud. Do you want to share it right now very quickly?
Let me do it real quick. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong. I didn't do anything. I just recreated it and it worked.
Don't worry, let's just do it.
Go. So this, which I think is fascinating in terms of reclamation, because this biggest word we know about her is not an innately negative word. It is actually a beautiful expression of each of us. Being curious is a wonderful thing, but it has been twisted by all the words around it to be something to be ashamed of and hidden. So that's where we're starting from. And we can send these out, or maybe we don't even want to send this out. Maybe we'll just send the reclaimed version out.
It's
So,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can definitely send it out.
I think we should send it out. I think it's fascinating that curiosity is in the middle of all of it, at the heart of it. Because if you think about it, when you ask question, you seek the truth, you unravel taboos, traditions that lead to oppression and that don't want to be questioned. So thank you so much for doing that. Emily, could you please share a little bit about what gave you the idea to work with Patricia and Monette to create this video?
Sure, I'd love to. Oh, shoot. It's echoey in my room. is the volume all right?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
So, okay, any why question, there's always a lot of strands, so looking back on my life, I guess you started out with your own story, Patricia. So I will start out with my micro why, and then there's a macro global why. But looking back on my story, I've always been drawn to Eve and had a real sense of relatedness or kinship with her. So I grew up in a girl-dominated family with a wonderful mother who's on the call. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Hannah Laurie. And as I shared on the Mother's Day liturgy call, my mother is kind of a symbol of the mother of all creation, the tree of life with 3 little girls underneath it. So I did have a wonderful mama. And I'm gonna get teary. And so I just deep down, part of my journey, I grew up in an evangelical tradition that viewed the Adam and Eve story and everything in the Bible as literal. So my journey has been reclaiming the symbolic meaning of many of these stories and also reclaiming my own inner knowing, my own consciousness. And this really began in my early 30s when I was overwhelmed with a sense of curiosity and a deep sense that, you know what, I think I've been missing something. I've been sitting in the pews for over 30 years. And you know what it is? It's my own consciousness. It's that curiosity to reach up to the apple, but I didn't have that understanding back then. So in one of the churches that I was in as a young adult, I had an Eve story, which captures really the micro, like my deep sense of connection with Eve, but also a sense that something is really off with this story. So I was on a committee that was basically evaluating whether women can be leaders, like on the elder board at this church. And there was movement in that direction. But on the committee, it was very divided. They put the really conservative people with people that believe that women should be able to be leaders. And at one point, this man named Jim Hughes, in a really loud voice, he stood up and he said, Eve didn't complain, so why should you women be complaining today? And this was when, picture yourself, I was in my 20s at the time. And it really, that I still remember it. And I was floored because I didn't really grow up with that extreme a viewpoint. But anyway, so that's one moment. But then now fast forward my work today, I've been engaging globally around gender issues, and a mother bear came crawling out of her cave, just seeing how low the bar still is for girls around the world and women. And everywhere I've engaged, religion is the main sanction for basically a deep, enduring stigma against women and girls throughout the whole life stage. But if you really talk to people, this story is still used as the sanction for all sorts of traditions that are deemed to be, this is just the way it is. God created this. So when I did this course, I saw on a Women's Spirit Reclamation, just the title, Reclaiming Eve. I was like, oh, I have to do this course. And it was when you were launching the book. It was still sort of, right, you're still writing it, Patricia. And I want to tell you, this book is like, it's a deep dive into all the misogyny. There's a lot of theological depth and reclamation going on. So I really recommend it to you. It's heartbreaking. But it was really what I needed to almost honor what I already know inside of me, that Eve is the mother of all living. And so with that, I know we want to start the video. So I wanted to invite you. Oh, let me just say one other backdrop. So during this time of existential angst around how low the bar was for women and girls and how religion is the sanction for all of this patriarchal oppression, I started a writing project, The Girl Child and Her Long Walk to Freedom. And it's a deep, deep dive. It took a long time to write and a long time to read. So at one point I said, oh, it would be great if we could create a animated explainer video, because I had been seeing these. So basically we did that. We created a 4-minute explainer video that explains how this gender-based oppression came to be in the world. So when I was doing your class, Patricia, there's a refrain that she uses in the class where Eve is speaking to us. And I just was sitting there, I'm like, oh my goodness, this would be an amazing video, like a sequel. So that was the origin. The three of us got together and said, let's try to do this. And we did it. I would love to invite everyone into another quiet moment before we watch the video. And I invite you to hold a girl child you know and love in your heart. Fill up your heart with all the love you have for this girl child. Envision her curiosity, her aspiration to become all she's meant to be. Now hold in your heart your own spiritual journey, yourself as a child. Hold in your heart your natural sense of curiosity, your childlike imagination, and also your aspiration to grow and expand out into the mystery of life. And as we watch this video, I invite you to invite yourself to join in with the girl child and the circle of women around Eve. And I invite you to open your imagination to the story, to see it with symbolic eyes in a new way.
Welcome, my daughters. Women have been gathering in circles like this for generations. This is how we share our truths with one another in a world that has been dominated by men. I am Eve, the mother of all living, culmination of creation.
When we first met, I questioned why girls are treated so unfairly. Eve taught me how man-made traditions that are still being taught today make it difficult to grow up as a girl. I'm asking you all, my mother, aunties, grandmother, and sisters, to join me on this journey of discovery.
Girl child, your curiosity is part of a sacred gift given to each of us. All human beings are born with a deep longing in our hearts to wonder about our origins and the meaning of life. My child, do you sometimes wonder what life is all about?
Yes, I do. Like when I look at a beautiful sunset or feel the cool breeze on my skin and just feel a sense of awe and wonder.
Exactly, my child. The breeze and the sunset are whisperings of truth. You can trust your feelings of awe and wonder. They will not lead you astray. Hold on to this feeling, this knowingness inside of you, and allow your imagination to go on a journey with me as I tell you my own story.
I think we're all familiar with the story of Eve, are we not?
Yes, but no. You've heard the man-made myths passed on to us. You will hear many stories. Trust the ones that feel true and enliven your spirit. I will tell you who I was before the patriarchy defined me as someone I never was, and blamed me for all the bad things in the world. Men created the story of our beginnings. It's time we reclaim our woman history and hear the story from Eve herself. I have been called by many names, fertile one who births all things, the great mother, law-giving mother, the bearing one, she who gives birth to the gods, queen of heaven, true sovereign, mother of the world, queen of the stars. I was worshipped for many centuries before the male god was imagined into being. But we all know that it is our mothers who give birth to us from within their own bodies, not our fathers. Every mother who bears a child is the embodiment of me. In her pregnancy, she holds and nurtures life within her. In her labor, she thrusts life from her. She is woman, strong and powerful. Instead of being honored and thanked, our mothers have been set aside, not considered as important as the father. As men became threatened by my power and intimate involvement in the origins of all life, they swallowed my stories into their myths and twisted my truth. Without my permission, I was given an important role in the man-made myths. They say that my weakness led me to eat the forbidden fruit from a very special tree in the garden where we lived. They say that I convinced Adam to eat the fruit. They say that the bite I took led us to be thrown out of the garden and set in motion the release of misery and death into the world. None of this happened in the way they wrote about it in the myth. They twisted the truth to blame me, the woman, for their sins and death. The truth is that I was curious about the tree in the center of our garden. I wondered what the beautiful fruit would taste like and invited Adam to share in the adventure. And with my strength, I bit into life and the fullness of its possibility. They twisted my curiosity and courage into disobedience. They said my bite into the fruit was evil, and because of it, girls would be blamed for my forbidden act. Not true. The truth is that the sacred grove was the birthplace of all things. Its trees of knowledge and life were intimately connected to my worship. We honored and cared for the trees of the grove. They held within them the secrets of life and the wisdom of the earth and her seasons. To eat of the fruit of the tree was to become aware of life's seasons, its trouble and beauty, its gift and challenge, its joy and sorrow, and to embrace it all as good.
What about the snake? Was that part true?
The snake is my wise advisor and the interpreter of dreams. Symbol of wisdom, the snake is the bearer of immortality. Life is renewed in the shedding of its skin, worn on my forehead, held in my hands, and coiled around my body. The serpent has always been my special companion and the symbol of my life-renewing powers. The myth makers recognized the importance of the serpent to me. Our special connection was demeaned. The interpreters of scripture renamed the snake devil, to be feared and eventually crushed. As the mother of all living, I pick the fruit of life. It is good and satisfies hunger. It is wise and opens the way to self-discovery and understanding. Those among you who are curious, who lust for life in all its fluidity, dare with me. Bite into life. Eat of the fullness of its possibility. Take, eat of the fruit, the good fruit of life. Believe in your goodness. Celebrate your goodness. Live out of the abundance of who you are as a child of life. Affirm the original goodness of your mother and your mother's mother, and of the children you may give birth to someday, and to their children, until the stories of old hold no power in their hearts. I am Eve, the mother of all living, culmination of creation. All that I have given birth to is good. It is very good.
Honor all that has been demeaned. Receive all that has been cast aside.
Yay.
That feels better.
That's amazing. Okay, so Marie Rose, are you there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're doing, we're doing the word cloud now.
Yes. Okay, so whoo, we all just got a whole bunch of new words to put in this new cloud we're making. Oh, I just love that. Kelly said in the chat that we should stand up. So she was resisting the urge to stand up and clap in the middle, and I felt that too. Yes. All right, let me go to our second word cloud generation. Get rid of that one. Okay, let me move it over. All right, so based on that beautiful experience of hearing Eve's story from her, let's let the words flow out of who we really believe Eve to be now.
Intuition.
I'm going to say no.
I see love.
Love.
Strong.
Mother of life.
And creator of life.
Wisdom, I see.
Curious.
I'm putting that again because yes.
An evolved human being, or awakened and evolved, or maybe just put those separately, awakened.
Yes.
Nurturer.
That's
Deep,
just
deep wisdom. Mothering.
Joyful.
Pre-patriarchy.
Yeah.
Queen.
Gatherer.
beautiful, curious.
Safe.
Hold
Hang
on one
on.
sec.
I got to get this at patriarchy. Okay, beautiful.
Yes.
Why?
Life,
Nurturing.
mothering, safe,
Safe.
warm,
Sharing.
safe,
Welcome.
Welcoming.
Yeah.
Louder.
A sharing.
courageous,
Courageous.
Healer.
Honest.
generous,
Truth teller.
comforted,
Teacher.
I'm going to say brave.
comforted. Oh, you've written that. Yeah. Generous.
I got generous. Should I write it again?
No, bold.
Bold.
Yes.
I'll say bold again because I was thinking it too. Yeah.
Someone says home.
Fearless.
Someone said the first.
One with nature.
The original.
The original, yes.
Playful.
Yeah.
Source. Truth.
It's strong.
Intriguing.
Us.
Fearless.
Life.
I'm going to say embodied. And wise. And curious again. Like we're going to reclaim the heck out of freaking curious. It is. It is good. It is very good.
Yes.
I think there's one here that says misunderstood and also present in all.
Mentor.
Powerful.
The starter.
Oh, that's great.
What was just said?
The starter, someone who starts.
What is it?
Starter.
The starter.
Yeah.
Daughter.
Oh, that's good.
No.
The
Assertive.
starter, someone who
Mother.
starts. Yeah, starter.
STARTE.
STARTER.
Starter. Sorry.
That's okay.
Collaborate. Or should I have said it in English? Starter.
That's a good one.
Now, if you said it with a Scottish accent, I've got that down.
Original.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, there we go. Then English.
Assertive.
Incubator.
Yeah, these are good.
Incubator.
Incubator.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Knowing.
You know, we're English in Kenya. We speak English here. And so when I come to this American meetings, I try to change my English to American.
When I got back to
Right.
North Carolina yesterday and heard the really thick Southern accents, I was like, oh, what is that?
There we go, graceful.
Graceful.
That's a good
Right.
one to end on. Shall
All
we?
right.
Yeah,
let's
shall we
iterate. Wait.
wrap this up?
Yeah, let me copy it just in case, just
Yeah.
in case. Copy.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Oh, and
gonna
Curious
do
is
it.
still at the middle of it.
It is still at the middle of it. I'm going to switch the fonts and play with it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Less thickness to the
yes,
font.
more Eve-like. I mean, we could do it now or not. I like
Okay.
Yeah, y'all keep talking. I'll just play.
Okay. So at this stage,
Fonts and everything. I love that.
Yeah.
We,
yeah, Emily.
so we have 8 minutes. If anyone wants to stay a little longer, we might be able to do that, but we wanted to debrief a little bit. And I guess our prompt is, what was it like for you watching the video using your mythic imagination? And I wanted to say, I want to say that we're all in different places. I know if I had watched this video, a number of years ago, I would have not the reaction I'm having today. So if for any of you, it feels a little uncomfortable, I invite you to be curious about that. Yes, so I'd love to just hear what it was like for you. There's a lot packed into the video that, on an intellectual level that you can unpack. And I really do invite you to do the course. It's an amazing course, but really just maybe on a spiritual, imaginative level, what was it like for you?
Empowering. It was where I always thought Mary should be, and would have always battled and gotten in trouble because I thought women were every bit as good as a man. Or better.
Better. Well, I love the part where she's giving the apples to the girls, complete opposite of the original poison. And here she's doling them out.
There are quite a few forbidden acts reversed in that. So good noticing.
Right. And you feeling it like part of you feeling like this is wrong because there's a taboo, but then part of you, like both of you, liberating, empowering, because maybe deep down you knew something was off about that way of telling a story. Thank you. Anyone else?
I thought it was really interesting. Like I do now see the story of Adam and Eve as a myth. Growing up, I saw it as something that was very literal. And when you look at it as a literal historical event, there's not very much room for seeing it any different. But now that I see it as a mythical event, and then learning that the mythology of Eve or Eve-like characters predated the Adam and Eve story of them together. I thought that was very enlightening to know that there's more information about her before they twisted her story. It wasn't like they just came up with her originally. Patriarchy can't really do anything original. It just twists what women have already done well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, she has a long backstory before she was shamed and blamed. And luckily in Genesis 1, we see a more positive story. You know, that those stories are multiple stories in the Bible. But anyone else, what was it like for you?
For me, it's coming from the Muslim narrative, she was a cautionary tale, it's like for women. And I remember the sex talk with my brothers from my dad was, watch your zipper, women are evil. And he goes off and tells them the story of Eve. And what really struck me about the words that we collected is how curious came forward both times. And I realized, isn't it curiosity that has allowed humanity to spread, to seek and search? Like that's the main driver for us, is curious, wanting to know what's next, regardless of what you're looking at, whether it's religion, spirituality, and just seeking. So I just wanted to share that bit. Thank you.
I think that it's the perfect segue, as we have just a little bit of time left, and we are also grateful for your sharing, your being there, for being part of this wonderful event. What is next? There's a lot happening. Monette and Patricia, you have events coming up. We encourage you to join our hub, the Girl Child Long Walk project, and we tend to have like courageous conversations like these. This is unique, obviously, and we try to have unique, courageous conversation. Next month, we're gonna have a number of youth talking about gender equality and faith. How do they look at it? Or what's the next generation seeing and doing? And so Monette and Patricia, I don't know if you want to mention some of the events that are coming up. And but before I sort of like let you talk, I just want to thank everyone for the work, for the investment, for the passion, and for this wonderful video.
Well, we we will have an Eve communion, which we invite you all to. Of course, the apple is passed and we take a bite, a big bite, honoring Eve and committing ourselves to forbidden acts for our daughters and our granddaughters. May we start telling the truth about things. But you're invited to our Apple Communion. It's a once in a lifetime experience. It's powerful. Some people feel fearful because it's thou shalt not comes in, and thus saith the Lord, and we're all shaking, holding the apples, thinking that we're going to be annihilated. But that indoctrination is so deep and profound, but it lifts during that ceremony. So that's on Sunday, May 28th.
Yes, at noon Eastern. And that is actually, we're doing that as part of the month of the mother that we're doing with the girl child. But it is also a regular, every month we bring in a different sacred ceremony that reclaims the feminine. Different leaders, different speakers, different practices. So we would invite you to come check out our community. We do wisdom circles every Wednesday. As a community, we have committed to not only stepping out of patriarchy, but also capitalism. by offering everything we do in a pay what's aligned model, which invites you into this beautiful energetic exchange outside of capitalism. We also have Louise Satish coming on Friday, which is also part of the month of the mother. There are not many people I would say are orators. She is an orator. Wisdom just exudes from her. And she has written primarily from the wisdom of the African Orishas. And so she's got this different mythology that she's pulling from for the mothering, which is going to be really beautiful. And that's Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'd love to see you at anything. Thank you.
Well, we are at the end of the hour. I just wanted to invite, if there was anyone who was about to say something about what the experience was like for them, to bring your voice in.
I just wanted to add this one small moment where one of the younger women gave the apple to one of the older women, and there was this look of real fear on this woman's face, and that was the moment that I identified with as just, I'm always still untangling that fear, even though that I don't live actively in the fear of like going to hell or or any of that anymore. That's not the active story, but and how much we're learning from this younger generation of what they will and will not tolerate. I'm actually looking forward to coming and maybe joining and listening to what some of these younger women have to say about of that, because that look of fear on her face, I was like, I know what that feels like. Should I take this apple? Am I gonna ruin generations of women because I take a bite? And so that was a really profound moment for me. Thank you for putting that in there.
I'll have to go back. There's a lot of little details. So
yeah, it's beautiful. It's kind of towards the end when they were handing out the apple.
Let me just say that Shelley is a beautiful songwriter and singer that opened, if you were on early, her music was on. And I also want to give a shout out to Sissy, Monette's mother and artist of the cover of the book. Do you mind holding that up? Yeah. There's something about the way you portrayed Eve in this that it just is so beautiful. Like, she is us. That's what I see. You know, all the artwork was beautiful, but this is just, she's very human and wise, and you feel her sweetness, and just, she is us. So appreciate that. We are at the end of the hour. If anyone wants to debrief more on any of this, please reach out. This sacred reclamation is a long process. There's many layers, and sometimes it can be a little scary, intimidating. But remember that we're doing this not only for ourselves, but for the next generation and for women and girls around the world, for all of us as a human family. But stories matter, words matter. And when we deify masculinity and we stigmatize femininity, there's a really dangerous honor gap that we create. So we're doing work for the world in this reclaiming that we're doing together. And I really enjoyed this. I did feel Eve's spirit with us. There was playful quality. I wish we were all together in the same place. Let me end with a Bible verse that to me captures who Eve is as the mother of creation. The tree of life and Eve and the snake and the apple all sort of go together. But wisdom is a tree of life to all who embrace her, and we are happy when we hold her tightly. Proverbs 3:18. So go in peace and hold on to the tree of life in all her glory and wisdom as we bite into life together. Amen.